people are talking about visibility, posturing, and you are just saying the
Okay,
opposite thing.
like there's
So
always
something
going to
would
be
have.
managers, there's going to be team leaders, there's going to be directors who are going to come on your call, but you're the one ultimately doing the work.
Sure.
You
And
do your
so
work, you do it honestly, you do it with ownership, you have the ability to maintain relationships, then people will notice that, and you don't really need to shout
in
it out
that
from the rooftop.
you are defining leadership in a very simple language, first of all, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you are saying, I'm not chasing title, but I'm very sure that at some point of time in your career, the title will be
I would
chasing
say
you
my ambition
because.
is not to be a bad guy. That's it. Like, not be a bad guy, be a good guy.
Welcome to this episode of Unscripted. I am Rahul Gupta. I am a leadership and career coach and founder of Transform Ahead. This podcast is my space to hold honest, human conversations with real people, leaders, professionals, and change makers who have chosen growth over comfort. Through raw and meaningful dialogues, we will explore defining moments, career pivots, and mindset shift that shapes leadership from the inside out. Whether you are at a crossroad, chasing the next big breakthrough, or just looking for a relatable conversation, this space is for you. So let's dive in. Welcome to this edition of Unscripted, a Transform Ahead podcast. This space is for real stories and raw voices on topics that cut across our profession and life. Today's episode is about a powerful concept, right? That titles don't define leadership, choices do. And today's conversation is about building credibility quietly while the world chases noise. Let me introduce our guest for today. We have with us Anuj Deshmukh. Welcome, Anuj.
Hey,
Uh,
Rahul.
Anuj is a technical program manager at Amazon Web Services with over 16 years of experience leading complex, high impact programs across global organizations. His career spans across multiple important roles in the past to currently managing large scale cloud initiatives at AWS. He operates in an environment where ambiguity is high, expectations are sharper, and execution cannot slip. But what makes Anuj interesting from a podcast lens is not just his corporate trajectory, it is his philosophy. A passionate sports enthusiast, Anuj draws leadership lessons from discipline, resilience, and team dynamics of sport. He believes consistency beats intensity, preparation beats posturing, and contribution matters more than designation. Anuj, welcome to TLC Unscripted again, and it's great to have you here. And I'll just start with one question to you, right? Just take us back to your early career, Anuj, and tell us what shaped your early professional mindset, because what you are saying is very different from most people what they're talking about today. People are talking about visibility, posturing, and you are just saying the opposite thing. So something would have happened in your early professional mindset building process that you think so differently from
Yeah.
leaders of today.
Yeah, but before I say that, I just want you to send me the introduction you called out just now, because I'll put that as my elevator pitch in my resume. So, yeah, I mean, so you always have like these ideals in front of you, right? Like when you're growing up, you see your parents, you see other people around you, and like luckily I had like a lot of good role models that time. I think like my dad is a very big role model for me. He started at a very young age working, and then by the time he retired, he was like GM of Southeast Asia for Air India. And I saw a lot of like positive ways he used to sort of manage his career and growth, and how he kind of handled himself. So like that inspiration kind of starts at home. But then I also had a lot of people around me who were elder than me, because my brother himself is older than, like, much older than I am. And then kind of seeing their work ethic and how they've conducted themselves, and how they're kind of managing themselves in their early stages of the career. That was kind of my ideal, to be honest. There's no strategy per se, but once I started working at Cognizant, right, like I kind of you kind of start relating to some things you've seen or heard around you, and then quickly I figured out like, okay, like there's always going to be managers, there's going to be team leaders, there's going to be directors who are going to come on your call, but you're the one ultimately doing the work. And so, so it's important for you to kind of put your work out there. That's your currency at that time when you're starting your career. That's kind of your currency. And you have to make sure that you're doing it in a way where you get noticed. And then, like you said before, like I'm not one to like put myself out there. Self advocacy, like you put it succinctly, right?
Sure.
Like self advocacy was not something I had learned at that time. And so kind of just made sure that the people who are looking at me know what I'm made of. Like there's never an intention to put myself out there. And I found that that works. Like something, once you get results, you kind of start building on it. And so that's always been kind of the way I've approached work is
Sure.
you do your work, you do it honestly, you do it with ownership, you have the ability to maintain relationships, then people will notice that, and you don't really need to shout it out from the rooftop.
Basically what you're saying is the mindset building happened from your, maybe early childhood when you were exposed to your,
Yeah.
father's way of doing things, your brother's way of doing things, and later on in your early career when you started working your work ethics part, etc., you started giving importance to that. Now that brings me to my next question, right? uh, See, growth ambition is important. Anybody who is doing anything worthwhile today, they must be having a bit of ambition, and I'm sure you had it also. But what did ambition mean to you when you were at 25 versus now?
Yeah. So for me, like ambition, I don't think I had like a ambition, but I think I had ambitions to be effective enough that I'm bettering the lives of people around me or people I work with. And what that meant was I could be a leader and then sort of have a top-down influence on it. And then if you aren't in that position, if you aren't trying to get to that position, then at least dotted line you can influence the people around you to better their lives, right? And I think for me at 25, the ambition was more to get to a point where I have that ability. And I think now it is more that I know I have that ability, is basically getting better at that ability, right? And so for me, it was more, my ambition was more to kind of get to a point where I have that ability to influence at 25. I mean, and that ability to influence the results around me, and do it in a very ethical way, and in a way where people are not sort of, I'm not trampling on anyone to get
Sure.
results, right? And so that was kind of my ambition at 25. Of course, like people will say I wanted to become CEO or CFO or anything like that. I still don't have that. Like I think it if it happens, great. Like I will take that very seriously, and I try my best to get there. But these kinds of things you don't control, and so like you are just gonna have to keep working at your craft. And then today, if someone asks me what is my ambition, I have a little different picture. I feel like I want to grow to the point where I have a big organization. I have the ability to make their lives better while they are working on fruitful things, and we are delivering for customers, and getting results. But I would never fall back on
Mm.
forcing my opinion or leadership on anyone. That's if I can go negative, essentially I would say my ambition is not to be a bad guy. That's it. Like, not be a bad guy, be a good guy, and then do your work. So very simplistic ambition, but yeah, that's where I was
But
at.
you know what, Anuj, listening to you, I feel that you are defining leadership in a very simple language, first of all, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you are saying, I'm not chasing title, but I'm very sure that at some point of time in your career, the title will be chasing you, because
I hope.
because you are talking about influence building, you are talking about making a positive impact in the life of people, you are talking about a span where you can have a much wider impact and so on, which typically an organizational leadership role demands, right? So while you are not chasing title. Everything that you are doing, you would be inching towards that. And as I said, maybe the title would start chasing you at some point of time. So that's awesome to know. Now let me change gears a little bit and ask you about some of the aspects of your current role that you do at Amazon. So in your current role, what does it truly demand beyond the job description?
Oh, so it's interesting because you would think at this point in my career, I'm managing a big team and have like a big budget and things like that. It is nothing like that. It is a IC role, and there was a very like targeted reason I took this role. And that is because I managed relationships before in my previous role. I managed a big budget in my previous role. I didn't have technical depth in my role, and I felt like that was missing, because if you want to be a leader, you can't really just be like, okay, like I'll ask this engineer and he'll tell me what is going on. You need to kind of get your hands dirty and do the work. And I think this role allowed me that. And uh,
Hmm.
the main thing I do every single day is I'm talking to all sorts of people. I'm talking to people who are ordering like racks from a manufacturing company, to people who are coordinating trucks for delivery to the data center, to people who are doing cabling and turning up our racks, and to people who are product owners of like multi-billion dollar products which are being highlighted in AWS annual calls or whatever, right? And so that is one thing that is not in the job description. You have to be able to adjust your way of communication and the way you manage your relationship with the kind of people you're talking to, right? Like if I'm talking to someone who's out in the field, who's actually like working and doing the groundwork for us, I need to be at their level to understand what problems they're going to. And then if I'm talking to a product leader, then I need to be able to understand it, like you said in your earlier part, right? Like at a business level, like he doesn't care about how the execution is happening. He assumes that the execution is going on, I'm doing it. And so, having to adjust your cadence to how who you're talking to, like who is your audience, right? And then empathizing that and figuring out how does it fit into this overall program that we are trying to deliver at the very end. Like how do we
Got
fit
it.
their requirement into our effort? And that's not in any job description. I don't think you'll find it
Yeah,
in any,
it
but
sounds very, diversified in terms of stakeholders, in terms of the
yeah,
qualities that you bring to the table, right? And
yeah,
as you said, you took a conscious choice of pivoting from a role which had a lot of span to a very niche role, which is an individual contributor role.
yes,
Even, while you are crossed 15 years of experience, people generally pivot the other way around because they want to
yeah,
have bigger span. But I think it's a wise thing to do because, you know, when you cross 20 plus, you are much better equipped both from stakeholder, from different kind of competency perspective. You are kind of covered the ground, right?
yeah.
So I believe it's a great strategy, Anuj, that I learned from you today. Now my question to you is, what are some of the pressures that you handle which people don't see in your job? Like you are handling it
Oh.
quietly, getting things done, but maybe your bosses don't even think about it.
Yeah, a lot of times there's just the product I work on is so early stage, even though like AWS earns quite a lot of revenue from it, but it's very early stage still. Like it's still in probably the initial stage, not even in growth phase. I feel like we are pivoting for growth now, but I think because of that, a lot of mechanisms are not mature enough, right? So when you throw scale at it, when you throw different kinds of problems at it, it breaks down. And then you have to figure out a way to still be the bridge and get everything back on track, and then still deliver on time. So like at Amazon, like one thing is like a couple of days late also is like, oh no, like you're so late. And so that is something that you have to always keep in mind. And then I think it's not that my bosses don't see it or anything, because you're constantly kind of communicating out to your stakeholders. But I think there's a lot of problem solving behind the scenes, right? And so you're trying to figure out solutions. How can we do this? faster? How can we do it without like knowing that there is a problem that exists and we still need to get to the destination that we want to? Takes a lot of like collaboration, right? You don't do anything alone in the industry you work in, and so constantly kind of solving those problems behind the scenes versus it's very easy to escalate and say, hey, like, your team's not doing this and we need this done by X date. But it's better to work with them, understand their constraints, and then send out an awareness with a solution rather than send out an escalation and say, hey, like, I need your help to solve this. So
Sure.
that's kind of my approach. There is always all sorts of problems. I think that's the one thing I've learned working in this job is I can deal with problems that are related to manufacturing supply chains to literally like pricing related problems. And there's all sorts of problems under the hood. But yeah, above the hood, you just need to appear as one.
By the way,
And
just to inform you, Growth Zone platform is on AWS like any other
all
platform.
right.
So I
All
know
right.
if it is down for 30 seconds, whom am I going to call next?
Save one. You can save one.
All right. Let's talk about a different aspect which I earlier called out, right? Your passion area is sport. I know you play tennis. Now, where
Yeah.
did this passion emerge from? Like you were playing since your childhood, or you picked it up, like the game itself?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, funny story, I used to play a lot of cricket. So, I grew up in Mumbai, and then, like, obviously, you're going to play a lot of cricket in
Sure.
Mumbai, in your society, whatever. And we were always very competitive. Like, all the kids there were very competitive. And then I moved to Pune, and I basically didn't have that ecosystem. Like, I didn't have as many friends, or I didn't have as many things to do it suddenly. And then one of my neighbors said, "Hey, like I'm gonna go play tennis. Like, do you want to come?" So I said, "Okay, like I'll go." And then my mom was like overjoyed. She was like, "Okay, like get him out of the house. He's just sitting in the house." And I think I was in like ninth standard, 10th standard maybe. Um, and then that's it. Like I went, I played, and then I don't know if you know of Nitin Kirtane. He was a Davis Cup player. He lives in Pune, by the way. And so um, he saw me play, and he said, "Hey, like I played Davis Cup," which I was like, "Okay, I didn't know Davis Cup players play here." And so um, he told me like you should come, you should hit with us, like and then that's how I kind of got into it, and then I just ended up like falling in love with it, and I still play it every day. Like not every day, but in the US it's kind of hard in winters, but in India I used to play every day, and here I kind of try to play a lot. So yeah, it's
So
yeah,
diversity has happened in the sports arena as well, other than on the professional side, which is
yeah,
great.
yeah. I
By
think
the way,
like there's
hmm,
so
go
sorry,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think there's so much to learn. Like, like you don't have to play professionally or you don't have to like be so dedicated to it. But I think there's so much to learn from sport that you can apply to your
Yeah.
corporate career, and I think
And
that's
that
important.
that was precisely my next question, Anuj, that you keep talking about sports and leadership and so on, right? So
Yeah,
what are some of those leadership elements or style that has been shaped through the exposure of tennis? I mean, can you
yeah. Yeah,
talk
like
about a couple of
so
things?
I think like if you have an athlete's mindset, like an athlete deals with binaries all the time, right? Like you do well, you'll win. You don't do well, you'll lose. And
Sure.
then if you're measuring yourself, there is always going to be more losses regularly. I wouldn't say more losses, but you're regularly going to lose. And so if you don't deal with loss, then you're never going to figure out how to get better and win. And I think that's something very, very applicable to your corporate career as well, right? Like you will run into challenges that you're not fit enough for, or you're not able to handle them initially, right? And if you really put yourself to it and you really want to overcome it, then you'll go in and you'll prep for it and you'll be ready for it, and then you'll find that you overcome those challenges. Now how you do that, everyone's journey is different, right? But when I've kind of run into things like that, I don't look at it as, oh no, like this is it, like I'm done now and I'm always going to be last or I'm always going to be lose. I look at it as an opportunity that you found something that maybe you're not good at. And I think if you want to get better at it, then here, like you should try your best to get better at it. And then eventually you will get better at it. And so, yeah, there's lots of lessons. I can talk all day. I don't think this podcast will last that much, but it is important. Like it gives you the attitude to handle challenges and deal
Yes.
with losses. And I think it's very important in a corporate career as well because you're not going to always win. You're not always going to look good. You have to be able to go away and do the work while no one is, there might be days when no one is watching you and you still have to put in that work. And only then, when the time comes, you are going to be noticed because you have put in that work. You don't, like in tennis, like you don't practice during matches, right? Like you practice when you are not playing matches. And so the match is where you kind of show up. And that's pretty much how it is. Like you go away, and if you're not investing or you're not spending time getting better at things, then you won't really do well when you're at work and
No, I
trying
love
not
your
to have.
articulation, Anuj, when you talk
Yeah.
about the having the athlete mindset, the binary thinking part, and then you
Yeah.
talk about resilience, right? That sports, you win someday, you lose someday, but you have to accept both with gratitude, and then you need to
Yep.
keep working on yourself, especially
Yep.
behind the scenes, so that you are more successful when you are at the scene, right? When you are actually
Correct.
executing. So these are
Exactly.
great points and great lessons.
Yeah.
Great. Let me ask you a little bit about coaching because Transformite is a coaching institution. So uh,
Sure.
I'm sure today no leader just mentor their team; they also coach their team, right? I'm sure while you are playing a IC role today, individual contributor role, you may be coaching somebody or the other in your conversations, in your daily work. Do you
Sure.
recall any coaching moment from your professional life?
Yeah, every day, right? Like you have to coach people every day because a lot of like program management is you're connecting the dots for people. And I think it is very important to get people aligned on what we are trying to accomplish because they have their own goals, they have their own motivations, they have their own like pressures. Their boss might be asking them to focus on something that you're not the priority for. And so it's very important to like get them aware of what we are trying to deliver, but then also kind of getting them along, not pulling them along, but basically making sure they are moving with you to accomplish that goal, right? So like the force multiplier is real in program delivery, right? So if everyone is pulling in the same direction and everyone is working in the same way, then you're going to get there much faster versus everyone is pulling in different directions. And so I coach when I'm talking to infra, networking, those kind of people. I coach them about, hey, like how does services work? How do we make decisions on why we are doing this? And then when I'm talking to the business side or to our software side, etc., then we usually talk about, hey, like why is this site built this way, or why are we doing this? Like why am I asking you to build a particular feature first before something else? And um, it's not as much coaching to say, okay, like I'm coaching you to get better, but it's more coaching to say, here's the philosophy that we are following to get from point A to point B, and then sort of inviting them for that right, like, okay, please,
Yeah.
we can't get there without you. So kind of encouraging them and helping them to solve their problems, but also solving our problems in the meanwhile.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And very glad to hear this. And by the way, I must say that, often people talk about program management in a little lighter manner because they feel that the program management office is more like a coordinator sitting in the center and kind of bringing
mm,
five things together, but not really adding so much of value. Okay. This
yeah.
is a general perception about program management. But what you are talking about, Anuj, there is tremendous amount of value in the stakeholder ecosystem. And I feel when you talk about coaching, obviously you are not just solving their problem, you are enabling them to solve your problem as well, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
you are not just a person, or your office is not just an office which is kind of pulling things together. It is making sure the ecosystem is growing upward, okay, which is
Yeah.
a massive
Yeah.
massive power that you have in your hand. So I think it's a wrong perception about any function. By the way, all other function thinks that they do the best and the other function do nothing. That's also a
Yeah.
general perception in corporate.
Yeah.
So people should respect each other's work, but it also depends on the person who is driving that particular
Yeah.
function. And I'm glad that you are doing a great work here. Now, last question before we move into the rapid fire round. You have been through
Sure.
coaching yourself, Anuj. Uh,
Yeah.
if you can recall your journey of coaching, what is that one biggest internal shift that you made after going through the coaching journey yourself? If you can
Yeah.
remember anything.
So it's funny you asked me that question because in your previous slide that you had where you like went through the forks, you had a visibility thing, right? Like, and you
Yes.
said, hey, like self advocacy. And so that I resonate with that so much, especially like before coaching with you and after coaching with you. I think there's still a long way to go. I don't think like I put myself out there enough, but I think till I didn't have that conversation with you because if you remember, I think you gave me like that test with the 30
Mm. Yes.
parameters that show up, right? And even there, like visibility was one thing. Like you that test highlighted is, hey, like put yourself out there. You're doing the work, put yourself out there. And I think that was a huge shift for me because especially in like a company like Amazon, right? Everyone's a high performer. You're not going to meet
Yes.
people who are just getting through the day and sending emails. Like everyone's doing work. You're expected to do more all the time. And then how do you kind of separate yourself from everyone else, right? And I think the culture is amazing. Like so, like you'll hear a lot like Amazon culture is competitive, etc. All that. But and I was very intimidated by that. But I think like within the company itself, they're very good. Like they do great work in telling people, hey, here's how you can make yourself more visible. Here's how you can contribute more. Like you said, coaching, like they're coaching me to solve their problem. And then
Sure.
I'm getting my problem solved in between. And that was a huge shift for me when we had that because I was already ready for that when that direction came to me to say, hey, like you're doing all the work, here's how you can sort of broadcast it to our executive level. Um
Mm.
and I was already ready because you and I had talked about it. And so I said, okay, like I know what the game plan is here, and that's helped me a lot. Like I said, I don't think I've fully internalized our coaching because you pick up habits and you keep working at them, and then eventually you just have to look back to see how far you have come. But I think that shift really helped me, and I don't think I would have had that if no one told me about it, right? Like you are very, I will say it in a good way, you're very blunt, right? Like you don't put fluff. And so you're very blunt. And so I said, huh, like if he's saying, then must be true. Like that's what I paid him money for. And so like then you told me that, and then I started observing myself for like a couple of months. Like, okay, like I'll do the work, but I'll not put it out there. Someone needs to get it out of me or whatever. Versus now, like I make sure that at least the people who need to know, right? And so that's, I think coaching helped me tremendously with that.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
thanks for that.
And the proof is in the pudding, by the way, right? You see the outcome and you start believing more and start
Yeah,
doing it better with
yeah,
time. All right,
yeah,
Anuj. I think this has been a great conversation. Now, putting across 10, quick rapid fire questions to you, whatever comes to your mind, quickly,
yeah.
just answer
Sure.
one or two words maximum, right?
Okay, sure.
So let me get started. The first one is, if your life were a Netflix series, what would it be titled?
If it were a Netflix series, uh, man, I don't know. Probably player or something like that. I don't know.
All right,
Corporate player or something.
corporate player. Okay. Finish this sentence. If I weren't in the current role, I'd be what?
If I weren't in the current role, I'd probably be doing something similar on the finance side, not
Finance
in
side. Okay.
not in tech. Something similar on the finance side.
Okay. A life mantra you would tattoo on your forearm if you had to.
Oh, so I have don't get bitter, get better.
Don't get bitter, get better. Wow. Amazing. Okay. One word that defines your leadership style.
Uh, I'm empathetic.
Empathy. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. What is a belief you have unlearned recently?
I've unlearned recently. Uh, that I don't know, loyalty exists in the corporate world.
Loyalty exists. So you have unlearned that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is your biggest strength that is often misunderstood?
I think the quiet part. It
Okay.
is misunderstood. It if I'm nuanced in applying leadership in a quiet way, I think the perception should also be nuanced enough to understand these applying leadership in a quiet way. Just like you realize, not everyone realizes, and I get
Sure.
that. So yeah, that I think that's my
Okay.
thing.
One dish you love to cook for your friends.
Uh, Probably noodles, like pad thai noodles.
Pad Thai noodle. Okay. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite as well.
Okay, so
Uh,
you know what I'm making.
yes. What do you wish more leaders talked openly about?
I think that they are not perfect, right? Like there is a
They're not
very
perfect.
big, yeah, like it's okay to show that you are not perfect. I think there is a very conscious effort to show, yeah, we've got everything under control.
Sure.
And it erodes that perception, right? Because we know everything is not under control. We are fighting the fires every day.
Absolutely.
So it's okay to admit that, and no one's going to
Okay.
judge you for it.
Second last, if you could give your younger self one sentence of advice, what would it be and why?
I would say like be more um be more forgiving of yourself. So for a
Hmm.
very long time, like you said, I didn't compare externally, like I didn't express it, but I felt like I was not very good at a lot of things I did, and everyone around me was really good. Like my siblings are very highly accomplished, and my friends are very highly accomplished. And for a very long time, I said, "Oh, you know what? Like I'm not that good, so it's okay. Like average is good for me." And then something flipped in me after I took CAT, and I
Hmm.
said, "No, like, dude, like, come on, we can do better." And I just regret that I thought little low
Yeah.
about
So
myself.
don't go hard upon yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And the last one is, if AI could solve just one human problem, what should it be?
Uh, Grow food.
Grow food. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think population is increasing, so that's
Exactly.
important. Okay. Closing reflection, Anuj. One last question to you is, if you could rewrite one rule of corporate success, what would it be?
Sorry, can you say that last part? One
If
rule
you
of
could
corporate.
rewrite, right? If you
Mhm.
could rewrite something which is established as a rule for corporate success, what we understand, what you have to do to be successful in corporate, if you have to
Got
rewrite
it.
that rule, what should that
Yeah.
be?
I think something you posted or had us discuss, right? Like that should be a rule of corporate success. When you walk out the door at any role or any company, you are only successful if you are remembered in a good way. And that's that. I don't think we do that. We think of like, oh yeah, this guy walked out as a director or a senior director, and that's not success. I think it's successful if you call someone and they pick up your call and they remember you nicely, even though
Yes.
you are not working with them. And I think that's the rule I would rewrite.
Yeah, I think people should remember you for good reasons and with respect rather than just for your authority, what you held as an office.
Exactly. Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
Great. Anuj, first of all, I would like to thank you for your honesty, depth, and perspective. I learned a lot from you. I learned the athlete mindset, which has stuck to my mind now, and I'm going to remember that for a long time. And some people from the community, they want to play tennis with you. So honor
Okay.
them
Yeah.
when you are
Yeah.
in their city. So,
Yeah.
and this conversation will stay with me, and the leaders on this call for a long time, because there was a lot of good learning that
Sure.
we got. uh, any last words? Please feel free, and then we will close it and move into Q&A.
No, thanks for inviting me. when I helped you create the podcast, I didn't expect to be a guest on it. So I don't usually
Yes.
like being on camera, but I think it's a great way to know
No,
people
absolutely.
in the community. I would highly encourage anyone to kind of try to be on here so that all of us can know you, and then you can also be out there for people to know you. So
Yes. And
thanks for
I must
having this
say,
platform.
and
Yeah,
for people who newly joined the community, that Anuj and I worked on this entire podcast setup, conceptualizing everything from soups to nuts for more than 6 months, I believe. And we did it gradually just to
yeah,
make sure that, we are in line. So thanks for that, Anuj. I think
yeah.
we are live today because of you. You
No,
have put a
no.
lot of hard work, and thanks a lot for that. And thanks for being a
Yeah,
guest on this podcast now. So
yeah. Of course.
great.
Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Thanks, Anuj. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Unscripted. If this conversation moved something in you, a shift, a question, or even a thought, I would like to hear back from you. Leave a comment, share your reflection, or share this with someone who needs this. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, where we keep publishing newer episodes. Also, if you are interested to know more about Transform Ahead or the Transform Ahead Leadership Circle, our vibrant community, feel free to DM me or just visit our website transformahead.com. As always, stay curious, stay grounded, and lead your life with clarity, confidence, and commitment. Until next time.